And speaking of fallibility, you need to check out what happens to your phone when you say the word racist using T9. So check this out. Racist. Now, watch what happens when I say this with a Southern accent. Racist. So I don't know if you saw this viral story online, but apparently the programmers at Apple thought that it would be really cute that if you say the word racist with a Southern accent, that it would first say Trump and then autocorrect back into the word racist. So there's only one way to look at this, and that this is fully intentional. Your phone does not think you are saying the word Trump when you say the word racist, regardless of if you have a Southern accent or not. This is a reminder to us that the people over at Apple and a large portion of those in liberal circles believe that over 50% of the United States is a bunch of hick racists. And this has been happening for a long time. We see these kind of double standards out there in places of influence in the culture and in institutions a lot. In fact, Christians are very familiar with this kind of double standard. We have seen the LGBTQ mafia come into schools, come into our cities, try to parade around our city streets naked, and then have drag queen story hour, and then also have drag queen brunches with children. They're absolutely interested in hanging out with kids constantly. If Christians happen to notice the fact that maybe your LGBTQ propaganda shouldn't be shoved down the throats of kids in elementary school, and maybe suggesting to small, impressionable kindergartners that they were born in the wrong body and that surgery can help them with that, isn't the greatest idea. Of course, if we make that common sense assertion, what we typically get back in response is, you're nothing but a racist, fascist, Nazi, homophobic, and of course, you're judgmental. And we hear in response to this that the church is responsible for historic injustice against the LGBTQ community simply because we happen to suggest that maybe your lifestyle is nowhere near as redemptive and good as the one prescribed in the Bible. That simple assertion is met with a whole bunch of cries of past wounds and hurt and problematic issues that the church has caused for the LGBTQ community. And forgive me if I don't have a lot of compassion for those historic lies that the LGBTQ community has been telling. I happen to think that telling people the truth is actually a redemptive good and actually helps people and is in their best interest. Telling people that the exit hole is not the entrance hole may hurt your feelings, but it is the truth. But this double standard isn't just happening within those kind of activist areas, but it's also fully on display in the media. Because of course we know the media constantly wants to malign Christians or totally ignore what's going on with Christians around the world. RFK Jr. was just announced as the HHS secretary, and that means that America is on a mission to get healthy again. But if you know anything about the government, the wheels of change grind slowly over there. So don't wait for them. Take matters into your own hands by going to today's show sponsor, Citizens Granary. Over at the Granary, you can get pure, fresh, organic ground grains for you and your family. You don't want to eat that dead, stale bread that you find at your grocery store. That'll give you like dysentery or something. I don't know, but it's not great for you. The best way to eat is the way God intended, and that's with fresh grains for your baked goods, your pastries, or whatever you want. And you can do it for as low as $2 a bag. Now, to see everything that Citizens Granary has to offer, go to citizensgranary.com, where you'll find not only recipes for some of the best things that you'll ever taste, but also all the different kind of grains that you can purchase for you and your family. If you want to get healthy again, this is the way to do it. And when you check out, use the promo code IndieThinker to let them know that we sent you. Because you probably are not aware of the fact that just recently, 70 Christians were martyred in the Congo by militant Muslims. Now, here's the story. One of the most recent and horrific incidents occurred in a village near Lubero in North Kivu, where over 70 bodies were discovered recently inside a Protestant church, as confirmed by the International Catholic Charity Aid to the Church in Need. According to a local source contacted last week, whom ACN decided not to identify for fear of reprisal, the attack was carried out by the Allied Democratic Forces, which is an Islamic State-affiliated group. Now, why won't you hear about these kind of things from those in the media? Why won't you hear this important story about marginalized communities in and around the world? Well, that's because the media has fully adopted an agenda, a progressive one, to try to push aside all things Christian, because traditional values, traditional family, and Christian truth is something that is problematic. So they refuse to actually engage these kind of subjects with any kind of intellectual integrity. But the media is not alone. I mean, just think about even people that I have some respect for. Think about Alex O'Connor, an atheist like him, and the fanboys who will say nothing about the fact that Alex O'Connor just recently backed out of a debate with David Wood because he was afraid of Islamic militant extremism. Now, Alex will go all day long speaking about Christianity and even tell you the reason that he will be so defamatory against Christians is because he knows that he doesn't have to worry about them becoming militant and attacking him if he does so. But Alex is oddly silent when it comes to Islam, spending very little precious time talking about the Islamic State and militant jihad and those out there who are engaging in this kind of fabricated and disgusting religious practice. And the reason for that is that Alex O'Connor is fully a coward when it comes to this kind of thing. And this is what we call somebody who won't stand up to bullies who threaten people with death and destruction if they disagree with them. And don't expect progressives to care while they want to talk to you about the marginalized and they want to talk about people coming into the country illegally and how they must have done so just simply out of desperation. And after all, look at all these slave wage jobs that we have here in America that we need this permanent indentured servitude class to come in and fulfill for us. After all, who's going to clean our toilets?
If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that
No.
So progressives don't care that the most marginalized community in the world is actually Christians. Now, they're worried about those facing food insecurity and the housing challenged. But when it comes to actually keeping your head on your shoulders, there is one group of people around the world who have a problem doing that the most. And of course, that's Christians. Isn't it odd that they spend such precious little time talking about Christian martyrdom and the attacks on Christians around the world? Now, atheists won't pay attention, and progressives won't pay attention, and the media won't care. But you should. And this is speaking obviously to Christians who want to fall in line with those progressives who are trying to weaponize empathy and get you to pay attention to the plight of the marginalized, but oddly forget about the most marginalized community in the world. This is also to you Christians who are well-meaning but are easily deceived by emotional arguments. But this is also to non-Christians. You should care about the true marginalization of people out there that you are not hearing about oddly. And it comes from a group of people who are wildly militant against of people who are not. So these people who preach love and who preach truth and do so in defiance of tyranny are the people who are most at threat. Now, I think that's pretty interesting. Could it be that what we see is an implicit acknowledgement in all of this, that the real threat to tyranny is Christianity? This is why progressives fight it. This is why atheists fight it. Frankly, the atheist Marx believed that Christianity was a threat to his desire for revolution, and the atheistic movement, whether it is intentional or not, and I don't believe it's intentional with people like Alex, but it is embedded in the movement, is a deconstructionist, revolutionary idea that Marx would be absolutely at home with. All I can say is this, is that if J.D. Vance is right about order or Morris, and you should order your loves appropriately, especially if you're a Christian, you should be paying attention to your brothers and sisters who are in chains and worse around the world. So we should do what the scripture tells us, and we should remember them, and we should pray for them. All right, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if this show was beneficial to you, don't forget to become a member over at indiethinker.org/support, where you can gain access to exclusive extras like ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and so much more. But most importantly, go with God.